I'm Hannah Gordon, and this is Patrick Cash.
Hello.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Awesome, so I'm just going to start by just explaining a little bit about Spoken Word London. As part of this festival, which is funded by the Arts Council, we managed to make this anthology, which we celebrated last night. If you want to buy a copy, they are available over there for £10. But tonight is not just about celebrating the poets in this anthology. Tonight is about celebrating all of the people who brought something to Spoken Word London. And I just want to give you some statistics, which I diligently worked out for our Arts Council application. Spoken Word London is a community grown from a bi-monthly open mic night at the legendary VFD nightclub. It was founded in 2013 by Patrick Cash. Yeah, give Patrick Cash a round of applause. More than 150 events and given a platform to almost 3,000 artists. Yeah, so I think that's something to applaud. Yeah! I became the host of Spoken Word London in 2016 because I just absolutely love Spoken Word London. And I've been trying and failing to write poems about it. But the thing that sort of expresses it, the closest I've found to the expressing how I feel about Spoken Word London, comes from the end of this academic dissertation, which is on display as part of the exhibition. I'm going to actually read this. So it's called Lost in a Moment, Opening Up Utopian Performance with the Lost Generation at Spoken Word London by William Barnes Graham. And this is the last paragraph of it. Spoken Word London is a physical, offline, embodied, tactile event. People congregate to speak and listen to other people in their physical being and expression. And everyone gets an equal opportunity to perform whatever it is they want to perform and be whoever it is they want to be on a fully open stage. And everyone is equally receptive to each performer. If people of this generation or in any generation feel lost in the world, then Spoken Word London is an example of how people can still come together to either be lost together or to find themselves together, and through performance create a shared experience that is somehow better than the elusive normatives in the real world in which they may feel lost.
Thank you so much for everybody coming tonight. This is our 5th anniversary anti-hate event, and we've got 8 awesome featured poets speaking out against hate tonight. And the reason why we do this event is because Spoken Word London is about speaking, obviously, but it's also about listening, and it's about understanding one another and having some empathy for each other's worldviews, and we think that's the antidote to hate. As I said earlier, we're here to speak, but we're also here to listen, so please respect everybody who's up here. There's nothing worse than getting up here and seeing somebody whispering in front of you, or hearing somebody whispering in front of you, and it's really, really loud, however quiet you think you're whispering. When you're up here, you can hear a pin drop, and you can hear people whispering. So try and just please pay attention to everybody. And also, yeah, let's just be merry and have a great night. Yeah. So we're going to start off with round 1. Please welcome. They are mother and son. They are wonderful regulars at Spoken Word London. We're really honoured to have them featured tonight. It is Elric and Albie.
I got sent down first. I usually hide behind my son. So. He's the first time we came, he signed me up because I wasn't going to read. So I blame this on him. I wrote this after my son was attacked for the 3rd time for being in drag and for his sexuality. And it was another 3 o'clock in the morning phone call. And it's just been I wanted people to see my son as more than just a sexuality, more than what he is, what he wears. And I think people forget that, and it's easy to just focus on a victim and not think of them as a son or a child or a brother, sister, mother, whatever. So this is called My Son is the Wish. My son is the wish I'd never imagined to make, the living gift that keeps on giving. My son is a gift. My son is the strength that gets up every day, that pushes through doubt My son is that strength and I'm proud. My son is the empathy that feels discourse from all sides, wills himself to walk in others' footsteps. My son is that empathy and I'm proud. My son is a poet, lyrically gifted, fills up the soul with his words. My son is a poet and I'm proud. My son is the call that asks, are you okay? My emotional reality check. My son is that call and I'm proud. My son is the laughter that revives the moment, that belly-aching, hysterical giggle. My son is the laughter and I am proud. My son is the conscience, the soul who can't walk away, who will argue the fight. My son is that conscience and I am proud. My son is gay, stands out in a crowd, does his makeup better than I. My son is gay and I'm proud. My son is abused by individuals and crowds. My son is my son. My son has your spit on his face, pint over his head. He walks head held high. My son is my son. My son bears the marks of your fists on his face, carries the scars from your verbal punches. My son is my son and I am proud. My son holds fast against your vitriolic tirades. He has read your religion. He will tell you God is love, love is good, and we all deserve love. He will tell you skin is skin, bruises whatever its shade, that bones break no matter their age. He will tell you skin is skin. My son is my son and I am proud. You will tell him he is sin. He does not deserve the air he breathes. You will tell him he is an abomination. My son is my son and I am proud. My son does not kill or commit genocide. My son does not blow people up. He does not traffic people into slavery. He is not a paedophile. Nor does he hide those who commit abuse. He does not cut corner on fire and safety regulations, steal pensions, brutally destroy communities, destabilise countries, start wars for financial greed, hold others' deaths on his conscience. My son is not sin. My son wears the same skin, holds his body with the same bones, hopes, feels, aspires, loves and dreams as you do. My son is not sin. My son is the gift, the strength, that call and the laughter. He's the poet and the conscience. My son is the fighter of the labels you would cast at him. My son is bold, brave and beautiful. My son is gay and I'm proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Aldi. For starting off the night with a really important, powerful piece, and please welcome the subject of that poem, slightly taller on the mic. It is Elric.
I try not to cry, it's going to ruin my highlighter. I ran out of settings, Greg, so I've been going through a tough time trying to figure out navigate life while being a queer artist. To be visibly queer and femme is to put your happiness before your safety. So this poem is me finding love in other aspects of life. It's called What Love Is. It's in the way your mother let you climb the walls when curbs were tall. It's in the way she held your scar-free hand as she walked you to your school. It's the sheer overwhelming force when everything you do's a first, when the daylight and the nighttime show that worlds will always turn. It's in charity shops where you'd rehome the toys forlorn. It's on the streets in the rain where you'd save snails from the fate of meeting people's feet. For every loss, you'd sit and grieve. It's in the way you sit at front on top of double-decker buses and pretend you were the driver. Oh, how life can be so sudden. It's the game of curbsy under fledgling sunsets. It's jumping into puddles and not caring that you're wet. It's in the way you're carried home by a man called Mr. B as you watch Godzilla films and you never missed a beat of the drum that drowns the lungs. Love that fills the alveoli. It's so holy, it's so tender. It's the youthful pick a mix. That is what love is. It's the way that Oma looks at you as she makes you brown bean soup. It's the way she looks at you, you know she'd make them mountains move. It's in learning how to skate, it's playing badminton in parks, and how your mother sit and listened when you were scared of the dark. It's the adventures in abandoned docks and the stories they contain, weaving your journey with ghosts and the fabric of time. It's a rhyme, it's a sonnet, it's a day spent catching fish. That's what love is. It's the way you and your mother guess what lies behind each door of the advent calendar. It's in the hand that you reach for. It's the black and white cat that you held as she was born. It's the way she slept upon your head and lived inside your heart. It's attending music festivals and finding art inside of words. It's in kissing girls on garages so no one knows your real urge. It's in hopscotch marriages. It's in the winter evening sun. It's the sound of silence singing when you can't see anyone. It's bunking school with friends to go and smoke some lemon weed. It's in bunking school to go and lose your virginity. It's in finally coming out to shed that weight you've bared around. It's in smiling through the bruise when the school kids spit upon your face. And it's every time you get back up when they push you to the floor. It's in the war. It's in knees exposed through rips in jeans. It's saluting lonely magpie pies in a frostbitten morning. It's your first gay kiss. That is what love is. It's how you didn't go to prom. It's how you moved to London. It's that you found photography. It's your self-taught poetry. It's in reciprocated smiles hiding wounds that latch to throats. It's surviving rape and still finding ways to cope. It's overcoming drug addictions and depression and self-doubt. It's in putting on your heels and hitting up that town. It's in doing things for you. It's in learning when to leave. It's the radiator creaking and saying your dream is still alive. It's when your first love didn't love you, so you learned to love yourself. It's in holding down a job, no longer living on the shelf. It's the way that people look at you and see a beacon of self-worth. It's reasons to beat the curse. It's that you have a home. It's the hand that once touched bones and the better life they showed. It's being alone but never lonely. It's in catching dreams in skies. It's holding someone's hand, the hot chocolate, and good night. When your mother gave you life, she knew what love is. When your granddad told his stories to you, he had seen what love is. When Oma held you as a newborn, she knew what love is. When your dad left you in that hallway, he did not know what love is. When your ex loved you despite your failures, he showed you what love is. When your flatmates do their makeup with you, you know what love is. When you recognize you're precious, you realize what love is. And you learn a God who turned his back on you does not know what love is. When I see my reflection in drag, I know what love is. When my mother takes me to my shows, I know what love is. When my family holds me close, when my friends love me though I'm almost pretty much broke, I know what love is. When my cat intensely stares at me as I do my makeup, then wants me to get home on that chair, I know what love is. Any God who would not accept me for the person I've become does not know what love is. And a father who's not there to see the trials that I've overcome does not know what love is. But it's okay, because I know what love is. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Elric and Albie for kicking off the night. We're going to go on to our open mic. We've got 3 open mics in round 1, and please welcome a regular at Spoken Word London. It is Andrew. Please go up to Andrew.
Hello. I'd like to take it back to Elizabethan England for the first one. You know, I'm not in the here and now. This poem is based on some of the negative writings of the May Day festival. We start on May Day Eve. Young men, women and other married folk run gadding to woods and yon groves of oak to spend the warm night in pleasant pastime. Nature gives blessing to those in their prime. 30 oxen to carry the maypole, 300 people devotedly stroll, sweet nosegays of flowers and oxen horn, with branches and birch return in the morn. Off to the village they doth slowly trek, May Day assemblies ready to deck, hauling branches for arbours and bowers, the maypole covered with herbs and flowers. From top to bottom, maypole bound with string, painted with bright colours, for the May King. Hauling on long ropes, they pull it up straight, but amorous play and dancing must wait. Arbours and bowers to be built hard by, raunchy summer halls beneath the blue sky, saucy fun in arbour, if it doth rain, only bishop and priest might they abstain. The lusty men and the lord of misrule, hobby horses, dragons, giants and fool, handkerchiefs borrowed from their mopsies dear, for busying them in the dark with cheer. Summer lord and queen crown their love with flowers, and revel with them in summer bowers. The pipe and tabor made such merry glee as at a maypole you wish to see. Pipers and drummers strike up devil's dance, skirmishing amongst the throng they advance into the church like incarnate devils, jingling bells as madmen in revels. Handkerchiefs and flags on the maypole top, the brawdy and lewd behaviour non-stop, the ground strewn about with herbs and flowers, bears many a couple in the small hours. Falling to dance around in the warm sun, in times to come, prudish priests stop the fun. Handkerchiefs swinging above heads like madmen, save us from rude hobby horses. Amen. Thank you. Now I'd like to take you back to Anglo-Saxon England, and this is what people might have done during the watch being the period of wakefulness between first and second sleep, bearing in mind that most people's huts had only one room. So, what would a young couple have done? Watch in the woods. Awake after first sleep with heart in hand, young elf and mistress to seek on the land, young wife man awake in small hut close by, silently awaiting for her owl to cry, stealthily creeping into darkest night, clad with canopy of stars burning bright, wise hooting like owl his mistress to call, in moonlit shadows trying not to fall. To shadows step on, darkest forest floor, slowly approaching past through secret door, silently stepping on their secret path, snaking through shadows to their forest garth. Things that young folk did in dark nights of yore, going to be doing that which no one saw, on soft mossy glade with maiden at hand, watch spent in the wood right of fertile land, snapping small soft shoots to sound of wild boar, an hour alone, but still wanting more. Elfred so elfin in silver moonlight, perchance in the spring a hand-fasting rite. Long blonde flowing locks and eyes burning bright, tall slim blushing maid in arms held tight, so vexed by this white man's smooth soft shining skin, as heathens we do not have carnal sin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Andrew. Next up, an open mic in round 1. Please welcome Josie Clay to the mic.
daughter at the back. This is so hot off the press, it's burning my hand. I wrote it in Costa. It's even got tea stains in between this afternoon and this evening. I knew when I was 3 I was me, and when I was 4 I learnt not to show me anymore. By the age of 6 I'd learnt to pull some tricks to hide the girl inside, locking the bathroom door, raiding the laundry bin, and commit the sin of dressing in whatever I found, even a dressing gown. At the age of 10, I was allowed to stay at home alone while shopping was done, and I had 2 glorious hours of mirrored fun. But the pain remained. The shame reigned. The guilt was built brick by brick. No one told me, but I knew I was sick. Something wrong. Mentally ill. Until I was older and my drive became an ogre, a troll under my bridge, waiting to devour me and unhitch me from my dreams. Perhaps if I died, yeah, suicide. That will cure the pain inside. So I sat on a psychiatrist's couch, but I was his experiment. He was ignorant, abusing my honesty, never telling me, you are okay, but feeling I needed to be healed from being a tranny. So next I had regression therapy, trying to escape from the tyranny of being me. Apparently, in a former life, I was a girl who never fulfilled her destiny. I then trusted the church and confessed my sins and promised never to do it again. But the Holy Ghost said I was in the grip of Satan, only prayer would loosen it. And so the people shout, demons out! But it couldn't have been loud enough, for my own spirit said, she still lives, and there is nothing to forgive. Be bold, be strong. You have done nothing wrong. And she became me, and me, she. And my spirit sings in harmony with my soul, and for 15 years I've been whole, and now enrolled in a choir of voices, allies, trans brothers and sisters, celebrating my choices. Even hotter. I walk my life knowing which road I have taken, though sometimes getting lost, I manage to arrive at my destination. Of course, that isn't always true. As I look around and take in the view, I'm somehow somewhere new. Occasionally looking down so as not to trip. In moments, looking up, seeking where I'm heading, crossing boundaries and even trespassing. It seems every low way or highway takes me to a junction, a Y or a T, and sometimes an X, and on a roundabout, leaving me vexed where signposts are absent and Google Maps no help. My only guide is self. Do I turn around and return to base, retrace my steps, halt my progress, and worse, regress? Decisions have consequences. Is there always a right or wrong, or can I take the middle road? If unsure where I belong, I walk my life, sometimes not knowing what road I'm on, arriving at an unexpected destination.
Thank you very much to Josie Clay. Our penultimate speaker of round one is our last open micer. Please give it up for another regular at Spoken Word London. It's Simon Mandrell.
I've got a couple of poems on the subject of anti-hate. The first one is Sticks and Stones. Sticks and stones may break my bones, words trigger my shame. Twinks and queens and there has-beens all have a mother. Puffs and fags and in-drag hags all breathe the same air. Puffs, pansies and fat fairies all smell the same flowers. Faggots, queers and failed dears all die, same as you. Just gay enough, cruel double bluff, faint praise for the damned. Don't lip sync gay as pancake. In silence still hurts. Just so gay. Much the best way to say I'm worthless. Not so strong to say you're wrong. I weep in darkness. Out of sight, cloaked in moonlight. Black and blue from you. Sticks and stones may break our bones. Words can break our soul. The next poem is called... Sorry, the clock's ticking. I am not a witch. It is all far too easy to find a scapegoat, to force fit that cap that really belongs to you. Ring the changes to laws with bells that toll for thee. You only deliver justice with a timer switch, promising my turn will come. I am not a witch. I'm still targeted or even beaten up for stoking fear and ignorance in your belly. The spite first sticks in your throat, then spews on my feet. Even this will not satisfy your infernal itch to wipe me off your world's face. I am not a witch. Tied hands and feet to metronomic ducking stools and all those other tools of naked oppression. Evading your hag hunts, escaping round-up camps, where I'd end up digging and ending in a ditch. But I won't bury your hate. I am not a witch. I may be expelled or even locked up in a cell of stale air. With shame-filled lungs, I gasp, choked by the vitriol that drips from your clenched fists. Foretasting the final punch, my lips tremble and twitch. Huddled, shuddering, I croak, I am not a witch! Though when it suits you, we're eagerly paraded as ones with special powers or unique features, playing up cheap stereotypes just to make you laugh. Guess that's the privilege of the entitled rich, to use my ass as you wish. I am not a witch. Lauded for our variety comedic acts, self-deprecation goes where you were all along. But dark humour hides an everlasting laugh on you, seduced by tickles, twinkles, or a mere new pitch. Falling for gravity tricks, I am not a witch. To survive your world, I need magical powers, overcoming sadness with spells, incantations, rituals of shamans, fairies, seers, diviners, healing my soul, myself, with soul medicine to enrich. Perhaps, after all, maybe I am a real witch. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Simon Mandrell. We're coming up to the end of round one and our second feature at our 5th anniversary anti-hate event. And we are really, really honoured to have her here tonight. She's been with Spoken Word London since the start. She's featured for us at many of our anti-hate anniversary events. She's done Spoken Word London Queer, when we've had one-offs at Ace Hotel. She's basically a powerhouse of poetry, and you are in for a treat with her phenomenal performances. It is Bethany Rose.
I really need a wee, so I might be going a bit fast. Sorry, I'm trying to get us out. I'm going to do 2 poems tonight. The first one is called Gemstone, and it's about feminism and a little bit of self-hatred because I couldn't. I'll just do it. I grew up with fairy tales and legends behind my eyelids. They were a collateral for a life spent hiding from the other kids in the cupboards at school, heart hammering in my throat, hand clenched around a sequin from the art jar that's charged with static, my brain translating it into something less like card, more like magic, a gemstone that would turn me into somebody different within, or at least give me the power to step out of my skin, out of my seams. Look, I was so unhappy I tried to step inside other people's dreams. I tried to use their sweetness to fight my wrongness. I would lie awake at night trying to press myself into their subconscious. And someone told me once that if you don't dream, and it means that someone else is dreaming of you instead. But I dreamed every night, so I always woke up lonely because I knew I hadn't been in somebody else's head. And back then, there were no stories about girls who saved themselves. So in my head, I imagined myself as the boy version rescuing the girl version of me. And I read the stories of Venus and Aphrodite, but I didn't have beauty. I only had brains, and I carried Medusa in my veins, and I knew there was a better life for me than all this. That the only god who changed their life by being clever was Artemis. I couldn't find a girl version of myself apart from Helen of Troy, and even she needed a fucking costume just to break down the Empire gates. I am so sick of disguises. I am so sick of being a horizon where the man's sun rises. I am so sick of my femininity being synonymous with the word goodness and how it stays intact. Medusa was a good person until she was raped, and everybody seems to ignore that fact. Bit of history for you. Athena was angry that Medusa had been defiled, so she gave her snakes for her hair and wings in her back, and a stare that would turn men to stone and eyes of black, so no man would ever touch her again. But not because she was keeping her safe, but because she was jealous. And when Medusa was finally slain, out flew Pegasus. Medusa was fucked over by men, even in death. So sometimes when the boys get too close to me on the playground, I can smell the snakes on their breath. Why don't we teach this in school? I was in love with my teacher, and she told me you needed to become the thing that you needed, and I didn't know what to be at all. I knew it was going to be hard, because how do you train to be American? I wanted my body to be more cosmic, less corporeal, and look, I just wish that once I could live inside of a book, and I could change things from the root and the binding. I could change the narrative and make the storytelling something more powerful and blinding. I could reach in and offer the mad catter a comforting hand. I could be a grown-up, red-headed lesbian Alice in Wonderland. I could be Wendy Darling in Never Never Land. Look, I'm in love with Peter Pan, a boy who stayed alive in a grown-up world. The only difference is that my lost boy is a lost girl. And I'd break into Matilda, and I'd get her to use up all of her powers to find a way to bend the light and stretch the hours so I could become someone different, charming and funny, someone who could kiss and fuck and bite the lips off Miss Honey in the bitter, dull dark. I'll be fucking Joan of Arc. And I'd lead the characters away from the mountain and get out of the lake, all the while remembering heroes with vaginas get burned at the stake. Look, gemstones can't magic you out of cupboards, and God knows as a woman I've been locked in one my whole fucking life. But I learned there's no such thing as special freedom, and how I wish I could take the covers off the books and make flames in this friction to make my life a better story than a man's perspective on fiction. I need to go to a museum and ask myself the question when I look at the greats with the lights turned down low, where are all the woman artists before Frida Kahlo? Where did they all go? Where did they all go? Sometimes I think feminism is just grief with nowhere to go. And a gemstone glitters, but what about if I don't want to glitter? What about if I fucking want to glow? Look, I carry in me centuries of hatred and oppression. All these fairy tales and legends with the perspective on it never quite right. How wide the sky, how small my night. Thank you. Thank you for your support. That poem actually got projected from the anthology, so your applause is like therapy. It's alright, my face is still on the front, so I feel like I made it somehow. And this is the second poem, it's the last one. Don't worry, don't like to milk it too much, get my attention, then I'll leave. This one is about my favourite kind of hatred, which I don't think people talk about enough, which is self-hatred. I just had a breast reduction a few weeks ago. You probably think they're still big, they probably still are. But they took a stone off them. Yeah, quite mad, gone from a G to a C. I thought I'd like myself more, but still felt the same about myself. So this is a poem. This is a poem about surgery, about what to do after you've had surgery and you look in the mirror and you think you're going to feel different and you don't. Still the same old twat, just a bit different looking. So this is my last one. So don't ring the bell. Last one. I remember once getting an invite on Facebook to go on a tour of brutalist architecture, followed by light refreshments and a university lecture on how the Soviets made any kind of softness obsolete, like it was a good thing you could give them the sky and they dip it in concrete. There are places where the damp scales the walls like a memory you can't paint over, where the drains clog up and implode like confused supernovas. So look, if you want a tour of Soviet brutalism, come and look around my body. I'll let you in for free. The segments of my spine like breeze blocks burn from the inside out, graffiti and blue light and a broken down lift and darkness in the grout. All that limescale and erosion stops my dreams from coming out. So that way, instead of blaming myself for the fact that I hate myself and my life is going nowhere, I can blame my backdrop and my spine for me never having got there. Sometimes the pain is so bad, I close my eyes and I imagine taking an X-ray. My imagination has got the power to turn my vertebrae opaque and I can see my spine, it's just fucking sitting there. And I know bones don't have eyes, but I can feel it looking at me. I can feel it berating me, saying, please, take better care of me. You're in charge of curating me. You cannot build a better me. I will not change or grow. You treat me like I'm disposable. You love me like I am Lego. You are not young anymore. Let your baby ballet spine dreams go. And I wonder, was the surgeon who cut me open witness to the sweetness that my insides are missing? So many holes for the filling and not enough sugar for him to pour in. My skeleton bathes in a light that's pink because that's the hue I choose to live in. Like I imagine him. I imagine watching him, the only man I've ever allowed deep in, preserving my old tits in glycerin, building me up different again, and I'm playing dead over my body, and I'm hovering above me. Time stretches the heart so thin. He can see where all the others have struck my skin, and I don't need formaldehyde when I decide to die, because it's in the fist of my bullies that I will carry on living. And you're trying to pour all that sugar water in, but I'm telling you that regardless if you change me, I'll be empty on the days that I need to swim, and I'll be full on the days I need the light to come in. So maybe if you cut my badness out, we can let the holiness get in. Skin's such a thin thing, isn't it? That's how the darkness gets in. Surgery made me feel the same way that love does, like somebody's put their hands inside me and given me a good fucking tidying up. I think there are two real ways of taking an internal photograph. Fucking someone, or opening them up. To be inside somebody is the best and worst kind of transgression. To break the boundary of their skin is the ultimate act of possession. But at least for this time, I was unconscious. My pain emerged in subtitles. Sometimes I think the only reason that I know I'm really alive is because doctors are forced to check my vitals. Injecting me with opioids till every single one of my cells is set alight, platelets dancing under wire. There is not much difference between love and fire, but at least you can fucking control a burn. When will people learn? I am chaos inside. I am a blizzard inside a swimming pool. I am an igloo filled with rain. And on my worst days, emptiness and heaviness taste exactly the same. My body is my saviour, but it's also my grave. And I'm a playground where the asphalt licks your knees with a gravel glaze. I'm a closed down pub with the sign still ablaze on a hollowed out venue in a shitty London estate. And when I was opened up, all of my past poured out. And now inside of my chest there's a new house. In my chest place, and how beautiful it looks, how neat and tidy with its glossy paint and its details and its craftsmanship and care, but it's not fucking home to me. I don't know what to do with this. My memories don't live there. My hands aren't nurturing, they're the cruelest palms, so if surgery was a person, I'd seek refuge in its arms. That's why I think changing my body for me felt just like a promise ring, because my fat keeps me safe, and it's the thing I stay safe in. It's the thing I stay trapped in. You dream of boulevards and sunset strips, but I dream in chocolate bars and packets of crisps. Fizzy drinks, bags of chips, salt and vinegar stars on my lips, and I'm pressing down into my hips, and I'm red in all of the spaces where the bombs should be. And yet, when I see my belly reach up, it breaks the bath water, and sometimes I feel like Moses parting the dead Red Sea. I'm aching for wings. I'm desperate for ground. To be weighed down by something bigger than that sea. Something bigger than me. My voice is quiet, calling through the surgery screen. It's pleading, how much do I need to change for you to love me? Love me. Love me. How much do I need to change for you all to love me too? Thank you.
Thank you so much to Bethany Rose. In our defence, Hannah and I did shortlist that poem, definitely, and we were really disappointed when the external editor sent back in about that poem as well. But what I do want to say tonight is that we are so proud to have had you part of Spoken Word London and still being part of Spoken Word London for so many years, and thank you for being absolutely brilliant. Please can we get another round of applause? We love you a lot, guys. That's the end of round one. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break, go grab a drink, have a fag, whatever makes you happy, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
This evening, can you give yourselves a round of applause? Awesome, we're going to get straight on. So first up in this round, we have an incredible feature. Somebody who does a lot for spoken word in London. She runs the Genesis stand. She has a lovely picture over here that people have been admiring all weekend, all festival. Can we give it up for the powerhouse that is Caroline T?
That's so nice, thank you. I feel like I'm slightly emotionally punched in the heart and the gut and the soul from Beth's poetry. I love Beth's poetry. I live for poetry like that. Like everyone's just made me very emotional this evening. I'm a very emotional person. People that know me in the room, now you do. So that's fine. A quick thing before I do this poem. Has anyone ever called out bullshit before? Bullshit! People, right? Like, because bullshit's nice. Has anyone called it out, like, to your partner, to your parents, to your family, to your friends, to your colleagues, to your boss, to random strangers in the street, to random strangers on the internet, to anyone? Yeah. Everyone's done it at least once, right? Yeah. There are really negative connotations that come with that afterwards. There are things that make you feel like a piece of shit for saying something that is right, for saying, no, actually, this isn't okay. This poem is about how me calling out some shit made me feel like that wasn't okay. And I think, as well, I've been trying to come to terms with my identity a lot in the last 30 years. I'm still not there yet. Who knows, maybe in 4 years I'll be there. But there's a lot of stereotypes, like if I call stuff out, they're like, oh, you're an angry fucking black woman, oh, you're fucking blah, blah, blah. And it wears you down. It really wears you down. So I wrote this poem about it to deal with it. It's called Giant Woman. I wished not to be a giant. The beast, formidable and looming, I wish to be as small as the joy inside me feels these days. I wanted to make my bones shrink and my flesh vacuum tight across the brittle branches of my spine, creaking elbows and delicate wrists. I wished to be a tiny flower. Some kind of ethereal creature whose big opinions fit in the small spaces when they leave the 2 rose petals of my mouth. I wanted mountains not to tremble when my heart did. I wished my grief to be a beautiful thing, and that in its silence and unsmiling guilt it would be shared and understood in equal parts wonderful. I have tried to press myself into the shape of the little women around me, ignoring the burning in my lower back from crumpling my frame into a less frightening shape. I wished for a smooth finish. Now, I check the phantom pain in my neck every morning for the Frankenstein bolts that I have been given. All those open spaces have tiny doors that black women with large grief and loud pain cannot fit through. Letting people kick me in the heart and head and worry about how my gut-wrench howl scares the townsfolk. I wonder about the pitchforks, the lit torches my open mouth invited, how many more times I can be chased out into the other side of these city peaks. How someone always needs to be the bad dog. A rabid thing that has to be put down by the bravest person in the village. I may have spent too much time trying to shrink. Ran to the hills, praying to be changed into something less scary. The abominable woman of anger, the monster in the hills. Crying great big bodies of liquid into enormous hands that turn into the rivers that people drink from. They take huge gulps from their cups and say in between, "Don't go into the forest. A great savage lives there and she'll devour you whole. We chased her away a long time ago, though every now and then might quietly question why the water here makes everyone so sad. I will break myself down each night, wishing not to be any person's giant."
Thank you so much. Can we keep going for Caroline C? Awesome. Yeah, so next up, it is my great privilege to introduce somebody who has given us so much to Spoken Word London, especially over the last year, and it is our resident photographer and my cousin, Cole Moran!
Thank you, Hannah. That's my cousin! And I love her. So this is what I've been trying to write, and it's still not finished, but I'll give it a go and read it out anyway. Okay. Council Estate driveway, the instructor tells me. My inability to drive isn't because of my disability, but I'd be better off driving an automatic car. Somewhere outside the city, the engine cut out. Silence sharpens the bitter aftertaste. Grey clouds stir into a storm. Driving lesson number 1, onward journey. Stepping onto the train with the rest of the tired commuters. Everyday conversations get lost to the reverb of the two people who ask, "If I want to sit," translates to "You look tired," or "You look disabled," or even both. "Please move down inside the carriage." The time I sounds, I hear my thoughts scream. Recycled air still. Outside daylight's drawn towards darkness. Standing still against those who sit. Somewhere in Dublin, coming out from a basement rave. The guy who's been trying it on all night with my friend turns from her to me to ask, "Have you got polio then?" A dagger, ice cold, slides slow down my throat as I inhale. Damp air and tobacco smoke smoothened with vodka and coke. Footsteps echo down empty side streets. I walk away alone. Rewind to childhood days on the school playground. Triggers pulled back on tongues, bullets fired, my legs the target and questioning. "Why do you walk funny?" I fell one morning on the way there. As soon as I got to the classroom, I burst into tears. Too weak to carry myself, clutching onto crutches. Post-operation, another round of ammunition. For the kids who ran about till I got back walking flat on my feet and threw those purple crutches out. Call-out questions linger a lifetime. It's only after the shame comes, reflecting in the pain of realization. I am not the same. Disability doesn't celebrate difference. I look down and it feels like I shot myself in the foot. Disgusted with reality, born in a less able body, working harder than those with their left side strong as their right. Tell me that I can't, I'll prove you wrong. My unattractive traits is what is drawn attention to. I'll go into a changing room, put sexy leather shorts on, hear the mirror whisper that my legs don't fill, the space that muscle fits in this superficial image of. Belittling masculinity closes off an already marginalised community. Uninviting and intimidating, unwelcoming. Defiance is a weapon of proud and determined opposition. From prejudgment, till it ceases to exist, but till then, I'll keep putting my best foot forward.
Yeah! Awesome. Next up, we have another person who I just want to give a really big thank you to. So this exhibition that you see around you has all been designed by the delight that is Iris Cologne. She's going to come and share some of her words with you now. Can we give it up for Iris Cologne?
Before you start, switch off the main power, isolate the circuit, remove the circuit fuse and put it in your pocket. The fix takes only a minute. Switch off the breaker and lock it if you can to avoid accidental replacement. Check the circuit is dead before you start. You won't be able to tell from the design of the rows. Instead, you'll need to count the cables entering. The fix takes only a minute. As long as you can get to the void from above, you can move a light wherever you need it. The fix takes only a minute. To check all finished work, get a socket tester to confirm whether circuits are dead and safe to work on before you start. If in any doubt, avoid accidental replacement. Your first task is to find what circuit type you have before you start. As long as you can get to check all finished work, instead you'll need to count from the design of the rows. The fix takes only a minute. To confirm whether circuits, remove the circuit fuse, isolate the circuit, check the circuit is dead before you start. If in any doubt, unlock it if you can. Instead, you'll need to count and put it in your pocket. The fix takes only a shoot. As long as you can get from the design of the rows to the void from above, you won't be able to tell before you start. Shoot. With power switched off and breaker removed, shoot comment. Instead, you'll need to count the cables entering before you start. If in any doubt, casse comment, or wherever required, casse comment, identifier, remove the power, lock it if you can. The fix takes only a minute. You can move a light. Fuite, comment localiser, to the void from above. Chute, comment rassembler. Suspension, piège. The fix takes only a tension, comment protéger. Suspension, comment prévenir. Résistance, comment résoudre. If in any doubt, défaillance, fracture, put it in your pocket before you. Différence, comment vérifier. Déficience, comment déjouer. Défaillance, comment agir. Confusion, obsolescence, piège. Instead, you'll need to count. The fix takes. Faiblesse, comment contrôler. Confusion, comment isoler. Obsolescence, comment réagir. Rupture, fracture, casse, éclat. You won't be able to tell. Piège, comment résister. Rupture, comment remplacer. Fracture, comment combler. As long as you can move. Fuite, comment comprendre. Isolation, piège. The fix takes only a. Éclat, comment trouver. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Iris Cologne. Okay, next up we're going to have another open micer, and this is the person who has been at our workshops that were happening all day in this space. Can we give it up for Matthias?
I need to set the record straight on a myth, a fairy tale, if you will. Hansel and Gretel didn't lose their way in the cold and gloomy woods. They were taken there, against their will, and abandoned. Twice. So I've started dropping some virtual crumbs because my voice has been silenced by these anxiety lumps, and even if I knew how to describe my distress, I can't imagine how to have the faintest clue of the mess that this neck of the woods has been in for a while, where your thoughts are marched down a very different green mile, when your mind is just spirals of worried and sad, a loud cry for help, and confirms you are mad. But I'd really like some company navigating these grounds, because the tree shapes get scary when the sun's going down. I'm even more frightened by what is buried beneath, which is the only difference between a garden and a cemetery. With the words, "I'm not okay," stuck in my throat, I was starving and gasping, staying barely afloat till the campfire of a friend shone through the trees, and together we started torching our anxieties. So, when you haven't seen Hansel around for a spell, check for cryptic Facebook posts from the dark of his cell. Listen up towards which key Gretel's twitterings are leaning, because you might just unlock their actual meaning. These modern-day woods can weigh heavy with their sweet digital riches, but with a good friend by your side, you can light up even the scariest witches. Thank you. Now, on a light note, addiction. So I was leaving the Bunker Theatre, and there's this guy shifting nervously end of the street, eyeing up passers-by and scanning the beat. I get close, he clocks me from 10 meters off, his haunted look begging if I have the stuff. Recognition will blink, he quickly draws near, leans in close, shaking whispers into my ear. "Hey man, don't I know you? You seem like a guy who could maybe supply me with a couple of lines? It's been 2 days since my last hit, and I'm running dry. All emotions feel hollow. I need another high." I knew this was coming. Had I not been the same, when I would have sold my soul to rewire my brain. I look around quickly, reply, "Listen here," reach into my backpack, past books by Adlia. Eyes widened with frenzy, heart craving the kick. I could tell he was well past the odd limerick. The high of haikus was short-lived at best, and when cut with rondeau, left his brain in a mess. Like he dabbled in sonnets and similar stuff until metaphors were just not tortured enough. I shoot him some lines from my stash there, and then observe the relief on his face with a grin. There's just something in the oomph and battle of wits that only the slam of slam poetry hits. He pays by the stanza, fresh walk before it's wrong, so I watch him saunter off, still clicking along. I bag out that dough, I got paid for my rhyme, and think, no wonder I chose a life of poetry. Thank you.
Thank you very much for saying. Okay, next up, before we go to our second break, we have another beloved regular here at Spoken Word London to feature for us. I think he's the only poet that features twice in the exhibition. Yeah. Oh, along with Tom Bland, actually, they shared a joint picture. We had a debate about that, didn't we? Okay. Can we give it up for Ernesto?
About 5 years ago, the Catholic Archbishop of Dublin, Diarmuid Martin, proclaimed that those people who actually hate, gays and lesbians and transsexuals, people like that, those people are not only homophobic, they're actually godphobic. He explained, if you hate gay people, then you hate God, because God never created anyone that he doesn't love. So I decided to bring that to its kind of logical conclusion, that Christian message. And I concluded that if you hate pedophiles, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate Mia Farrow, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate rapists, then you hate God, because God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate red-haired people, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate serial killers, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate Justin Bieber, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate people from Essex, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate homophobes, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate Katie Hopkins, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate men who shave their body hair, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. If you hate your local UKIP councillor, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. In fact, if you hate Satan, then you hate God. God never created anyone that he doesn't love. Thank you. I wasn't sure how this is the point that appears in the anthology. I wasn't sure how I was going to present it tonight. This is how I presented it originally. I wasn't sure whether I was going to do this or not, because when I present myself like this, tonight is about anti-hate, or about hate, and when I present myself like this, I wouldn't say that I necessarily experience hate, but sometimes I can experience a great deal of hostility, rejection, mockery. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Happens often, too often, I would say. So to counteract that, I'm going to do a poem, kind of poems, really a found materials piece, which uses words said by other people. And these people are people who participated in a short documentary that I made. It's part of a bigger project anyway. It's a short documentary called Naked Tongues, which is going to be shown at the Leeds Queer Film Festival in March. And the short documentary is about the use of the body in performance poetry. So I interviewed quite a few people. So the poem is actually the introduction to that short, what people are saying in the introduction of that short, and the conclusions. And some of the people involved in the anti-hate anthology are featured in the poem. So it goes like this. Give me a second. Okay. So as I say, none of the words here are mine. Poetry without clothes. In my time, I have chosen to accept offers to perform poetry without clothes. That's something I've chosen to do. I find it bizarre that we are in 2017 and it's such a big deal that we can't still cope with the fact that we have bodies. I've been swimming naked in the Lake District, and it's quite similar to performance poetry, which in a way is about nakedness. I'm obsessed with nudity. Using the body alongside poetry gives such extra depth and connection. You can go so much further with things, especially when we are talking about sexuality and minorities. And that kind of strength, because it was like, you know what? Whatever you say to me, it doesn't matter because I'm fucking naked. Or you're naked here as well. And nobody knows what to do with it. And it's kind of amazing to watch people's reactions. Some people, they're like, why are you doing this? I don't get embarrassed by nudity. Some people do, but I don't. I think the first ever spoken word night I went to, there was an appearance by the Naked Poet. I love the Naked Poet. I love the Naked Poet. Amazing. I was so excited to see the Naked Poet because he speaks to me. I am a naturist. And so to be able to see a performer do what they love in a natural form was amazing. A really clever tool to use. I love the idea of kind of just the frankness and the honesty of performing in the buff. It's disarming. Yeah, I think it would be quite liberating to do that. And this is the conclusion. Why? Why should there be any limits on poetry? Why not break down the barriers of what we think poetry is? Let's just smash those barriers. Let's just do every kind of poetry. Let's push the limits. Thanks a lot. My name is Ernesto. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ernesto! Awesome. I think we're going to take a short 10-minute break and then we'll be back for the third round of Spoken Word London this evening. Thank you very much. Oh, can we get a round of applause to everyone who performed in that round? Okay, we'll be back in 10. Thank you.
Our third round of Spoken Word London anti-hate anniversary tonight. Thank you. Thank you for the energy in the room. So Anti-Hate, we mostly do Spoken Word London. Obviously, a lot of people come along and do traditional spoken word poetry, but it's open for anybody to do whatever they want to do. So people come along and do like a bit of experimental theatre, they come along and do a political polemic, they might do a bit of singing, or they might do comedy. And I think comedy is a really great way of speaking out against hate. So we're really honoured to have as our next feature one of our comedians at Spoken Word London. I hope he's going to do comedy tonight. Maybe he's come along and done a special poem. But it is David McIver. Please give us a big
Alright, it's my time to shine. Hello. I'm your stinky comedy boy. Nice to meet you. Oh, it's stuck to the floor. That's lovely. Figuring out new things every day. Thank you so much for having me at your poetry night so I can do my horrible little comedy. It's going to be... No, don't know on me, it'll be fine. It's very nice. I used to be quite... It's a brave thing, I think, doing comedy. I think I'm a big, brave man. I used to be very shy. I once inhaled a helium balloon, but couldn't think of anything to say. And that tells you everything you need to know about me. I used to be very shy. It used to bother me a lot the way that, you know, shy people are treated. Sure, I can talk about hate. Here we go. I think when you speak to a shy person, there's a lot of things you should and should not say. For example, if you're speaking to a shy person, don't say, "I hate you so much, you shy piece of shit. Ever since you've been born, you've been nothing but trouble. You're a little quiet little worm, rolling around in the shy nothing that is your useless personality. Like a little wasp without any wings, just buzzing around needlessly in a little useless little cave that is your empty life. Why don't you roll your little slug body into a ditch and die, you useless shy man?" Don't say that. Instead, do say, "I love you, son." Who'd have thought the joke about disappointing your dad would resonate with the poets? It's not a slam, mate. You think, but... Oh, it made people sad. I don't know. Sometimes people think I'm quite posh, but they're actually wrong. I went to one of the toughest comprehensive schools in rural Oxfordshire, so I don't know nothing about me. I've been getting into, I've been trying to improve myself at the moment. I've been trying to improve the old mind. I've been getting into mindfulness, meditation, all that sort of stuff. I've started meditating with an app called Headspace. Does anyone use Headspace? Yeah. Yeah, we've got mental health problems. I don't know if you guys find this, but the guy on Headspace is really pissing me off. Kind of defeats the whole point of a meditation app. The other day he told me to find a pebble and stare at it. Which is it's kind of fine advice, but where'd you find a pebble in central London? Like, if I lived by a nice beach, I wouldn't have to meditate every day, would I? I'd just be, happy. Anyway, I did the London equivalent. I found an old cigarette butt in the street. Just sort of stared at that until the city worker shouted at me. It was lovely. I don't know. I quite like London. I like the DLR. Yeah. It's a good line. Good tube line. If you don't know it, DLR goes around Canary Wharf, all that sort of part of town. A lot of people like sitting at the front and pretending to drive it. Yeah. I actually prefer sitting at the back and pretending to be dragged backwards through a capitalist nightmare. That's my hobby. It's good fun. But I'll tell you a few more things and then I'll crack off. What? I don't know. I'm not in a relationship at the moment, which is very surprising because I'm a nice little man. But the good thing about being single, right, guys, is you can do whatever you want, unless that thing involves another person loving you. It's absolutely fantastic. But I've got a little trick actually for any other sort of little men on first dates. I always go, Owie, these growing pains are really hurting. I think I'm going to grow up to be really tall. They're like, oh, he's 5'8" now, but in a few months' time, oh, mama, can have me a nice big boy. That's really bad. I'm just kidding, mate. Just jokes. Someone's taking this very literally. My problem with jokes, right, is they sometimes take a little while to get. Like, sometimes I'll say a joke, and then, like, 10 minutes later, when a different comedian's on, everyone starts laughing. That's how it works like that. Well, this has been very nice. Thank you so much again for having me at your lovely night over the past few years. It's been very fun, and I hope to come back soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to David McIver. Next up, on round 3, as part of our open mic, please welcome a regular at Pokebud London. It is Rebecca Coote.
About like first time at Spoken Word London, and I suddenly remembered that the first time I was at Spoken Word London there was all this poetry and it was amazing, and then there was this guy who did the speech that Mussolini gave when he was kicked out of the Communist Party in 1936 while wearing like a kind of pseudo-military uniform. I don't know if it was Italian military, and it was brilliant. Like, it was hands down one of the best 5 minutes of theatre I've ever seen, and I was like, I don't know what this is or why this is, but I love it. And I think that kind of summed up just the Spoken Word Londonness of it all. I don't know why this is happening. But yes, sorry, I found a story I thought I would share. If anybody knows who that guy was, like, I would be really interested to chat to him. Like, why, dude? I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to do this poem. It's not really about hate, it probably is about a lack of love, or love and a lack of love, I guess. It's called the Tomato Soup Poem. No. 6 years old and up past bedtime, back from holiday, a crumpled, grumpy pile of child, too sleepy for hunger, too hungry for sleep, fractious with car journey dreams. To the rescue, from the back of the cupboard came always a tin of Heinz tomato soup. Wherever we had been, this, by tradition, marked our return. One time my brother falls asleep in his bowl, orange soup swirling round copper-coloured hair, he is home. 8 years old in 1957, my mother's idea of heaven is Heinz tomato soup in a mug. Every day she walks, feet pattering between terraced houses, lucky to survive the war, takes a steaming cup of heaven from her foster mother to the old lady next door, knowing her hands will be colder on the return trip, knowing she must not spill, must not waste, must not hurry, must not taste. Such things, she is told without words, are not for the likes of her. Sometimes she slips, sometimes she spills. Once she is given a penny, more than once she is hit. Such she learns of love. Love is warm hands on cold mornings. Love is tangy orange care. Love goes so smooth down your throat, so drink the whole mug, love, there will be more. Love is not for her. The stain of orphan is darker than tomato and harder to scrub out. Children with no one left to love them must earn their keep and accept that in place of care. She is home help, served in a pint-sized vessel available off the shelf. She knows the irony in children's home, that foster care won't always foster caring, from people lucky to survive the war who love with the habits of rationing. When I am 18, I move out and she places a can among my things, and I realise that homecoming soup was a promise, a brilliant orange vow. Its warmth in my hands said, you are loved. Said, you always will be loved. Says, I was a care kid and you are a cared for kid, and you will have what I did not. For her, it was the smell of love unobtainable, of kindness for someone else, of care conditional on work. For me, she made sure that home and love and care taste like synonyms, taste back of the cupboard, open doors like open arms, always there. For me, tomato soup tastes like home. Thanks.
Thank you so much to Rebecca Cooney. Next up, we have another regular at Spoken Word London who actually features in our photos in our exhibition around the event. He's actually one of the only other people to feature in 2 photos, as Iris pointed out. It is Tom Bland. Please give it up.
Hello. So I have a poem which is untitled. And I guess it is a little bit about self-hate. And it's a little bit about clowning. And it's a little bit about the possibility of being human, which makes it sound a lot more profound than it actually is. Amy was a clown who described herself as an acid maverick, pioneering the eye in a triangle she wore around her neck, folding onto a bright green t-shirt. Clowning's a coat, you know, she said, opening an empty envelope sitting between her almost finished espresso and her latex red nose. Some people think the clown is a performance I put on and take off, but no, I must be a clown at all times. I can't stand slipping back into that thing, human. I met Amy on a 3-week clown retreat in the cider brewing region of Hertfordshire, surrounded by trees and red noses. Crisscrossing between technical mime exercises and the spontaneous scream from the bells upward. Don't be afraid to scream, Tom, she said. I said to myself. She reminded me too much of myself. That made me scream. Seeing myself as a blonde-haired woman with a perfect pear-shaped figure, standing in front of me wearing a red nose, laughing, poking me, hitting me with a rubber machete, telling me to wake up. She, an acidic Osho in a polka dot outfit, screaming, "The golden reality will dawn in you, motherfucker!" There was a clown who was also a serial killer. But he never killed as a clown. When he scrubbed away the makeup, bits of his stubble came out, his teeth gripped, trying to hold in the impulse to kill. He stared at himself in the mirror, at the face he was born with. In his red book he wrote, "Sadness, that feeling in me terrifies me. Only in stripping away in the bodies of others, the cute young men in Converse trainers, makes the void something I can step into again. I imagine being killed by him." Amy took on his role, slicing away the sadness in me until my face shone so wide she could see my teeth in the sunshine, awkwardly appearing between the beech trees, squirting ketchup on me to make it all seem real. We decided to swap clothes, to be each other at dinner in front of all the other clowns. She ate steak and I ate potatoes, and both of us had onion sauce on silver plates. And some clowns thought we had been fucking, but I shouted out she was killing me for my own good. The next day she looked at me and said, "Darling, don't you want to kill me?" I slammed the rubber machete out of nowhere into her heart, whispering in her ear, "I too dream of love." But we both just laughed. So I was in the toilet earlier. And I don't know how many of you have been in there yet. But I was going to put my... Oh, so there was all these chalk pieces, right? And you can write on the toilet wall without being arrested. It seems like a thing the theatre wants you to do. Peace, please.
Thank you to Tom Bland, everybody. Our penultimate speaker in round 3 is actually a newcomer to Spoken Word London. I don't think she's ever been to Spoken Word London before. She came along through performing at Poetry Unplugged, where we went to plug, not Unplugged last week, because we went to plug there. And so she's come along tonight to perform for the first time at Spoken Word London. Please give her a really warm round of applause. It is Deborah Collins.
Hello, my poem is called The B Words. The subtitle is An Older Woman Lectures After Her Russian Builders. That sounds bad, doesn't it? Like I'm objectifying them, but wait. It's week 3, day 4, or week 5, day 2, or somewhere in the endless 8 weeks of this project, and the B words are talking intensely in Russian, almost arguing. It makes me fearful. Is there something wrong with my house? Is there something wrong with me? As I crouch here in my filthy corner like a spider, I realise that all I need in life surrounds me. A computer, a fridge, and a kettle cloaked in dust. My daughter has moved out and I have stayed, confined in a back room with 4 cats and their 2 stinking toilets. Bored with my obsession with the builders and all their works, she has banned all mention of them on our walks and meetings. So when my craze slips out, I call them the B words, and they are driving me crazy. Each day, 6 out of every 7, I rise early to wash and dress, for they'll be here at 7:45, and my eyes fill with tears, for I can't wait for them to go. Perched on the edge of my own house, like Miss Havisham among the dust and shreds of my identity, I wonder how mad I seem to them. Their charismatic boss, who charmed me into hiring him, like a handsome, smiling Bond villain, who calls my name so scarily as he commands me to order radiators, castigates me for neglecting to buy underlay, or sends me forth to buy switches, sockets, paint, lighting fixtures, and internal doors. Most people, he tells me sternly, move out when their whole house is renovated. His younger right-hand man strips off in front of me, revealing excellent legs, to put clean trousers on for going home. Once I hear him refer to me as babushka. Whoa, is this what they think of me? In half an hour I'm down my local Russian cafe, checking with the waitress that it's meant respectfully. But it hurts to know they see me in that way. Meanwhile, I'm watching them. Ethnic Russians from Latvia, all clean-shaven. These beautiful boys are killing themselves. In the yard where they retreat to smoke, fag ends swim sadly in a bucket like small pale fish. They suck on roll-ups, except for Ilya, who leaves packets lying around with pictures of men in their pants with a scarred red stump of a leg. And then there's the sugar in their drinks. But they're so strong and capable, tearing stuff down and whacking it up to soulless Europop pounding full blast from a station called Radio Baikal. The B-words and I can hear each other pee. I have to get away. I spend hours at the Russian cafe. Then comes the day I bring my friend home to have a look and see, show her the cheap red satin curtains still in their cellophane, and tell her what my daughter has to say. They look like something from a love hotel. My friend isn't sure what I mean, but the B-word who's decorating the room gets it, starts to laugh and flashes his dimples while still watching the wall that he's painting. And that's when I fall for Sergei. I am helpless before him, for he has seen my shame. Under the bed, which he dismantles and moves, cat shit, which I must persuade him is new, product of a freshly traumatised cat, and hasn't been there all the while. I don't understand all the new things here. His big hand snakes around the glass partition while I crouch in the bath, clothed but barefoot, to show me how to work my own shower. And we talk. I know he lives near here and goes home to nobody. Yes, I have kissed the man, but I think he thought it was a babushka kiss. I held him 10 seconds more than was necessary in the hope he'd get the picture. So now the work is done and they're all gone, but still fill every crack of my life. My daughter and the youngest B-word are in love. The one with hidden depths and an architecture degree, who was so moved by the beauty of my kitchen tiles, and, as it turned out, my daughter, that he showed me pictures of his cat and his mum in Kazakhstan. My autumn with the B-words is over, and I am still perched on the edge of my house, so clean, so new, I float around it like dust and can't lodge anywhere. I wander its echoing spaces or curling corners and resist the temptation to tune into Radio Baikal. And over us all hangs the shadow of the other B-word, the one we all call Brexit.
Wow. Thank you very much, Deborah Collins, for being wonderful. Thank you for being part of it. Let's get another round of applause for What a great poem. Next up on round 3, we're coming to the end of round 3, and we've got our second feature of round 3. So he is a wonderful poet. He's very funny, very droll, very succinct, and he hasn't been at Spoken Word London for a while, unfortunately, but we are really, really pleased to have him here tonight. Please give it up. Oh, he's already up. Please give it up for James R.E.
I was going to read something different about sexy Russian builders, but so I have to revert to my plan too. So this is a review of one of my favourite prets. This is the one near Warren Street Underground. Between 2014 and 2015, I spent over 400 hours in this prep. I had plenty to be grateful for during this time, but for the most part, I was just frustrated. I felt like I had access to all the right things, but when I stacked them up, they only reached the height of my slumped shoulders. Every weekday morning, I'd arrive at Warren Street by 8:20. By 8:25, I'd be at Pret, drinking filter coffee and typing. I do this until 9:25 when I hit save, close my laptop and walk the 3 minutes to my office on Charlotte Street. During this hour I was working on a novel that I had unreasonable expectations for. It had to be a good novel that people would enjoy reading. It also needed to bust me out of a network ad agency and into the hearts and minds of the frail woodland creatures that built and sold literature. Most importantly, it needed to prove me, an okay ad creative, to be an artistic genius. I didn't know what the novel was about yet, but it had to be better than what I wrote for the other 8 hours of the day. Mostly scripts for commercials where Kevin Bacon walks down a high street talking about things you can do with a broadband connection. I don't know why Kevin Bacon did those ads. Probably the same reason I worked in the agency that made them. I lost that job before I finished the novel, so I stopped regularly visiting that Pret. Which was good in some ways, because I don't think I was ready for the literary fame. And now, after a few fortunate changes in circumstances, I sleep as late as I can and get to work between 9:30 and 10. And when I put all the same things in a stack, meaningful relationships, pints of Guinness, WhatsApp groups, the odd ad that comes out okay, it's so tall I have to stand up straight to see it. I still think fondly of that Pret though. I wrote my favourite ever haiku there. We call Bruce Bruiser, but we call Matt Smith Matt Smith. Cunts don't get nicknames. this is the best material left over from that era. Because unlike the tortured pages I wrote in Pret, or the never-aired Kevin Bacon scripts I wrote at work, this actually had some truth behind it. Cunts don't get nicknames. I just wish I'd seen the irony at the time, when at 9:25 each morning, I hit save, closed my laptop, and trotted off to a job where I was known only as James Ross Edwards. In summary, I give the Pret near Warren Street Underground 5 stars out of 5.
Thank you so much to James R.E. And you can read more of James R.E. in the anthology under the masculinity section, a brilliant piece, which I think that hiking features in, doesn't it? Yeah. That's the end of round 3. We're going to take another 10-minute break, and then we'll be back for our last round and some awesome poets to finish off the evening. See you in 10 minutes. Cheers.
Final round of Spoke by London this evening! Thank you for having me. Awesome. Okay, we're going to get our final feature of the night up. It is the legend that is... You know what, when we told David from the Bunker Theatre that you're performing Tyrone, I was like, yeah, Tyrone's going to be here. We were like, how are we going to have pictures and 2 days of events? It's Tyrone! So I'm really happy that you're here. And really excited to be going to perform. Tyrone is featured in the book. In the masculinity section, with an amazing poem, which I hope he's going to do, but if he doesn't, well, buy the book. Tyrone is an amazing poet, but not only that, he's given so much to the London spoken word scene. He's made documentaries and films and photographs nights. He's just finished filming the Uni Slam, and he's got a book coming out this year. So can we give it up for Tyrone Lewis?
I'm going to start off talking about race, because race is a fun thing. I was at an event on Thursday, and that kind of brought the whole racial issues back to my head. So I've got 2 poems for you to do today. This first one is about race, and this poem is actually the title of my book. It's called Blackish. On the days that I'm reminded that I am black, this city's police siren heartbeat turns into a threat. I wear fair skin tight, hoping it can mask my melanin, and every bag cut closest to their chest is a gut punch. I'm struggling to breathe like he did. On the days that I'm reminded that I am black, every tweet in sympathy hacks away at me. Every tweet in sympathy is a reminder that I cannot share the protection of their complexion. Every tweet is a reminder that I am not as white as them. On the days that I'm reminded that I am black, I'm reminded that my father is not there. On the days that I'm reminded that I am black, I am reminded that I have more white relatives than black relatives. On the days that I'm reminded that I am black, we are 23 years old sitting in a pub in Tottenham. We are celebrating 3 years of knowing each other's existence, and that's when she says that she can't believe she's friends with 2 of us. Her letters choke me. They suffocate, asphyxiate, leave me gasping for breath, and I can't even garner a response to her. She leaves me 16 when I've been pulled out of my arts mock exam. I'm sharing a room with 5 other boys that have my pigment, and I'm talking to my guidance counsellor. She asks us what do we want to be when we grow up, and I tell her I want to go into advertising, and she tells me, but you're black. Her words are bullets. And I have time to get my hands up faster. She keeps firing. First round of lip service. Second round of quotas. She keeps firing because they always keep firing. On the days that I am reminded that I am black, I am reminded that my skin's heritage is built up on corpses, and I am too afraid to visit their graveyards. I'm too scared to see their tombstones and not feel like one of them, but every time I look down, I am reminded differently. On the days that I'm reminded that I am black, I'm being mistaken for another boy that looks like me at the festival because apparently we all look the same. On the days that I'm reminded that I am black, I am covering my face in mud, hoping that I can fit in. And on the days that I'm reminded that I am black, I'm hoping that I don't forget. I'm hoping that I have to be reminded again. Thank you.
Yeah.
As this is the anti-hate poem and also anti-hate festival kind of thing, and also as my poem is now in the book as well, this is going to be a poem that features in the book, and it talks about 2 things that I hate in some ways. One thing is it talks about men, and lots of people hate men, and I'm completely there for that because men are a bit shit. Another thing as well, where people hate, this is more of a poetry specific one that I'm trying to kind of reclaim the hate for. Not reclaim the hate for, when people hate it, I'm trying to reclaim the love for it. It's people hate list poems. So this is me trying to reclaim the love for list poems, also talking about the hate that men get as well. This poem is called Man Walks Into a Bar.
Yeah.
Man walks into a bar, says ouch, blames women. Man walks into a bar, gets into a fist fight. Man walks into a bar and gets annoyed that the blonde who was there before him gets served first. Man walks into a bar and apropos of nothing starts telling you how his favourite film is Fight Club. Man walks into a bar and for a poetry night and gets annoyed that oh damn it, sorry. Man walks into a bar for a poetry night and starts doing a poem about how much he loves natural-looking women. Man walks into a bar for a poetry night and does a poem about how much he hates women that wear makeup. Man walks into a bar and does a poem about men and hopes he gets praised for his wokeness. Man walks into a bar for a comedy night and laughs at all the dick jokes but then gets annoyed that the one female comedian didn't do relatable material. Man walks into a bar, slaps women on the arse. Man walks into a bar and keeps complaining about his ex-girlfriend, repeatedly refers to her as female. Man walks into a bar and is complaining about his ex-girlfriend, repeatedly refers to her as crazy. Man walks into a bar and is complaining why he is single. Man walks into a bar over his girl talking about how she is single, says that she deserves better. Man walks into a bar and he thinks that he is better. Man walks into the bar with his hand in his pocket because obviously all of his clothing comes with pockets. Man walks into the bar at some point over the course of the night he leaves his drink unattended and nothing bad happens. Man walks into a bar and tells you that your choice of drink is wrong. Man walks into a bar and at some point over the course of the night his elbow knocks over his drink and he's annoyed at how long it takes the staff to come up and clean up his own mess. Man walks into a bar, buys the bar, then takes all the credit for all the previous bar owner's achievements. Man walks into a bar and starts masturbating on all the tables. Woman goes, what the fuck are you doing? Man goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Tone. Man walks into a bar for a first date. He isn't worried about to get home safe. Man walks into a bar for a second date. He isn't worried about to get home safe. Man walks into a bar, gets blackout drunk. He isn't worried about to get home safe. Man walks into a bar and waits to get home safe, and man walks into a bar and then takes the night bus home. Thank you.
Alright, next up we have another incredible poet, and can we give it up for Jamal?
Fuck, people hate list poems, I've got two. This one, I want to bring us all together, less about things we hate, but about, things that we all share. So this first one is about, to anyone who has ever been broke. Have you ever been so broke that nobody could lend you money? Because pending payments in your bank account would eat any income that came around, leaving you with less than what you started with? Have you ever been so broke that despite never taking a loan, you're convinced you've been missold PPI? Have you ever stood at a red traffic light and thought, what's a few broken bones in relation to some sweet compensation? Have you ever been so broke that you could only afford to sigh deeply and eat sleep for dinner, not letting crumbs go to waste, so much you savor the taste of toothpaste? Have your condiments ever become main courses where you couldn't afford free tap water, so broke you didn't intend to drink it, but dip your cereal in it because milk costs too damn much? Have you ever lived a life like Little Britain fat fighters, seriously considering eating dust? Anybody? Have you ever been so broke that the last time you smelled a hot meal was when a rich man farted? Have you ever been so broke that KFC bargain buckets cut budget expenses in half because the wet wipes could substitute a bath? Have you ever pissed in an empty Ziploc bag and called it your temporary hot water bottle and told your friends you were going all natural because who needs central heating, really? Have you ever been so broke that sperm and blood banks rejected you, knowing anyone injected with your DNA could get infected with your shitey money management? Have you ever been so broke that homeless guys gave you spare change? Seeing you as such a lost cause, they'd go as far to avoid eye contact. Have you ever seen discarded cigarettes on the ground, in the grass, or an ashtray, and collected the dregs inside to roll yourself a tiny tobacco stick to puff a 5-minute respite to your life? Have you ever been so broke that you apologize to your parents daily? Because even though they're not psychic, you can hear them thinking, you failed me. Have you ever been so broke that sugar daddies became an option? Have you ever thought of draining the saggy balls of wealthy 17-year-olds, getting all up in their wrinkly skin folds, all for a chance to escape, for a chance to taste a life that's better than this, one without having to warm yourself with farts and bottles of piss? Have you ever been so broke? I haven't, but I know I'm close. Thank you. Okay, this next one, I will need, I want to apologize to all of the single people who will feel personally attacked by this. I will give you a hug after the show.
Yes.
Have you ever felt so lonely that you followed advice given by Cosmopolitan magazine? Have you ever been so lonely you purposefully grew acne so you could have an excuse for why nobody would want to date you? Have you ever felt the need to stroke your shoulder when someone bumped into you because any human contact will do? Have you ever worn clothes one size too tight so the constriction of cotton could trick you into thinking you're getting a cut? Have you ever been so lonely the only way you make friends is by telling your crushes how you feel and they reply, let's just be friends? Have you ever felt so lonely that only your reflection was willing to hug you back? Have you ever been so lonely you called your co-workers family even though you're self-employed and work independently? Have you ever been so lonely you committed crimes in broad daylight just so you could feel wanted? Have you ever felt so lonely you whispered I love you while watching porn? Have you ever felt so lonely you stuck your dick in a pot of coffee just to feel warmth? Have you ever been on a bus that terminated 20 stops early because the bus driver didn't want to risk anyone sitting next to your lonely ass? Have you ever chosen to smoke a joint with someone who licks their lips too much because a wet roach end is the closest you'll ever get to a kiss?
Thank you, Jamal. Next up, we have another incredible performer. Can we give it up for the Repeat Beat Poet?
So hilariously underprepared for this. Right, let me just entirely sort myself out before I actually read this poem. Right. So this poem is entitled One Black Lotus for William Davidson, and I'm reading it at the Tower of London on Monday, next Monday, as part of a thing. No, but yeah, this poem is written in dedication to him because he was one of the few black British people to be held within the Tower of London during about 1820. He was a radical activist and unioniser who basically never really did very much, was part of a bunch of whole unions, but effectively was part of a conspiracy that was staged called the Cato Street Conspiracy, where an undercover cop basically infiltrated their union, set them up with a plot to blow up the entire British Parliament. Apparently they were going to be having dinner somewhere. They all went there, to do the heist, got set up, all sent down to the tower. About 8 people got sent down, 5 people actually got sentenced, the 3 that didn't obviously were the undercover spies, and 1 person who sold everybody else out. That's the background context. Look him up, William Davidson, absolute G. Anyway. Genesis 2:17. You must not eat from the tree of good and evil. When you eat from it, you will surely die. One Black Lotus for William Davidson. Conceived by the cheating white Attorney General of Jamaica and an untraceable farmer under duress, which is to say, birthed by a black woman not deemed worthy of record or recall, and under the watch of a man installed to inflict British justice on us just subjects, the soil in which you grew held lawlessness. When shipped to Scotland for schooling, you dipped out, sought solace on the sea that was your exile. Upon return and by demand, strong-armed to serve at sea for the crown, but anchored enough in the law of this land to unionize and make a stand, a black British man breaking bread in the Badlands. From London to Liverpool to Birmingham, a maker, building with his hands. So with Peterloo as your witness, and 11 dead fighting unjust laws, you hit the books to stop the crooks, preaching common ownership for the common cause, and it was all for one and one for all before infiltration and downfall. A copper undercover seeded a tantalizing thought. Let's blow the government to hell in the style of Guy Fawkes. And before the ink had dried, that scurrilous spy had sold you out for highest treason. Divide and conquer works the same from Cato Street to the Caribbean. In court you asked, would you rather not govern a country of spirited men or cowards? Our radical leaves are dissected and pressed between pages, dead bodies like flowers preserved for the ages, prematurely cut. I want my history rooted like a living tree, for it is an ancient custom to resist fuckery.
Yes.
Cool. I'm just going to rap until the little bell goes and I'll stop rapping. Introduction to me, I'm a hip hop poet, this is what I do. It's the RBP said y'all know it's me, I've got rhythms, rhymes and poetry. Watch these I combine, black styles realign, I'm a reassembling sign of the time. See the target in the forest, I score gold like coal. I move smooth like a ghost, pass through your soul, the world is mine. It was written and foretold, I'll be gripping mics and spitting till I'm grey and old. I'm coming real smooth, you know this, I still get into the groove, you know this. Believe it's mind over matter, you know this, I'm making your bones shatter. Like osteoporosis. Watch me as I flow this easily. If you don't know now, you know it's RBP. I'm the rhyme-laden, beat-slaying poet MC, riding that Black Star Line all city. London on a Monday looks so pretty, such a pity living here's tricky, man. You see, I'm chasing rent, running round scatty and skittish. I'm overworked and underpaid, damn, that's British.
Yeah.
You see me hustling and struggling, the work don't finish. Turn me to a grumbling, stone cold cynic. Minute to minute, I manipulate my flow. Begin it within it, real train starts at home. It's incontrovertible, rhyme unstoppable. I'm unbeatable, unbelievable. Style unreachable, unimpeachable, unbeseechable. Don't speak to me, I'm insatiable, unmistakable. Motherfucker complex and relatable. I'm fully raw, be fully sure I'm untamable. Fully operational, not debatable. My foundation's unshakable. I'm built on these grounds unchangeable. That's on the rhythm, the rhyme, having a good time. Peace, love, unity, having fun. Check the history books, you know I'm on the one. Shaking off my gut brain, keep the main vein sane, I maintain this higher standard. Every club that I hit, every stage, pub, backyard. Blaze the trail, my verse has the vanguard. Rhyme hanging off my neck, holding the key to life like a lanyard standard. I'm resisting groupthink, yeah? That's that mindless compliance. The automatic action goes like a kitchen appliance. It's going round and round, a suffocating spin cycle is frightful, making the people turn spiteful, man chill. Kick back and let the rhyme heal. Be real, kick this like Cypress Hill. Be honest. Don't fear what you need to feel. That suppression of expression is the ultimate no deal. Fight the wave and blow a hole in your own keel. You feel? Rock!
At the Wilson Green with Sale next Sunday, because what do you do when you finish one project? You take on another one. Yeah, no, but it's going to be amazing. Awesome. Next up we have another open micer, a lovely regular at Spoke Word London. Can we give it up for Aaron? Give it up for Aaron.
What's up? Well, this has been the melanin round, I think. I've got 3 poems, 2 I've condensed into 1 just to make things quicker. This one's called Dear Man, Dear Woman. Dear man, it's okay if you're not okay. Dear man, it's part of living. Dear man, emotion is not emasculation. Dear man, it's simply being human. Dear man, why deprive yourself of being human? Dear man, because society doesn't see it as manly. Dear man, what the fuck does manly even mean? Dear man, sensitivity is not weakness. Dear man, affection is not gendered. Dear man, you can, dear man, you will. Dear brother, you don't have to face it alone. Dear brother, as long as you say something. Dear man, listen to dear woman, and dear man, let's just all be human. Dear woman, I humbly apologize for my gender. Dear woman, for everything that we have done to you. Dear woman, I am sorry that you have not been respected. Dear woman, I am sorry that you have not been heard. Dear woman, I am sorry that you have been seen and not heard. Dear woman, I am sorry that you have been not seen and not heard. Dear woman, I am not sorry that you are strong. Dear woman, I am sorry that you have to be. Dear woman, I'm sorry that we only ever want one thing. Dear woman, I'm sorry that we have taken so much more than one thing. Dear woman, you are not crazy. Dear woman, they just don't understand that sometimes you actually feel emotion like a human being. Dear woman, you are a human being. Dear woman, you are a human being. Dear woman, you are a human being. Dear human, you deserve all of your rights. Dear human, you deserve to feel comfortable. Dear human, you deserve to love yourself. Dear human, you deserve to be loved. Dear human, you are loved. Dear human, you are superhuman. Dear woman, because you literally have the power to create the miracle that is life. Dear human, you are beautiful. Dear human, we do not deserve you. Dear human, you could probably do without us, but dear human, we cannot live without you. So dear you, know your worth and don't ever settle for being disrespected, because dear woman, you are the one that keeps the earth turning. Yeah. And this last one is called Natural Sugars. It's one that's sort of like, it's anti-hate to myself from me. So it's like self-love sort of thing. I have a sweet tooth. I need to taste sunshine like sugar. I need it to rain. Coconut showers under pineapple skies into rivers of spiced rum and coke so I can make cocktails from the rivers and the winds. I need my 85% dark to become rich with this taste of sickeningly sweet self-love. I need candy cane trees and licorice leaves so that those poor kids of the third first world don't only know the taste of pain and starvation. I need to pour positivity like honey and make the bees envy my smile as I tickle your taste buds with my effervescent energies. I need to feel as good as I smell, as good as I look, as good as I taste, because the world has kept me bitter for far too long. I need my natural sugars to be witness for all the greatness that they are, because there will never be another me. And I need you to bring that same energy.
Thank you very much to Aaron. Awesome. Yeah, so our penultimate performer of the night, and this is a really nice spoken word London tradition. When I first started coming to spoken word London, this woman finished off every night. Can we give it up for PSRT?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And before I even start, I'm going to be a hot minute, don't worry. And I do a thing called bedtime thoughts, nighttime blessings. But what I want to say, before I start, I want to give a big round of applause to Hannah and Pat, because one of the things I always said to them is this. When I first started, I was very nervous, very frightened to even get up on stage. I was shaking, like, believe you me, I used to have to sit down because I was shaking so much. But what I found about Spoken Word London, it was always welcoming. Everybody that came there, and I like the fact that everybody got 5 minutes, you know what I mean? No matter how great it was, shake the bell, get off in 5 minutes, you know, the time's done. Okay, so I'm going to do a little piece for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. And I don't do hate. Those that know me know I don't do hate. We kissed. And then you leave. And I'd laid not wanting to get clean. I waited in silence and I'd hoped that you'd return. but my silence was only met with silence. It's been 5 minutes, and still I lay not wanting to get clean. So do you know what I did? I laid in the sweat and memory of our sex, my body still tingling from your every touch. My body still tingling from your every touch. Memories of my moans, of your moans as I pleasured you. Those moans, they would make such a beautiful tune. Hands remembering where you had been, but fingers don't feel me the way you filled me. I laid not wanting to get clean, holding on longer to our late night bedroom scene. You were gentle and you were soft, you were hard and you were rough. I was open and I was ready. I can still feel you deep. Now I feel empty. I had waited. I had laid not wanting to get clean, holding on longer to our late night bedroom scene. The shower has run in and the water is hot. It's time to leave. I'd laid not wanting to get clean, holding on longer to our late night bedroom scene. Thank you.
Yeah. In the room, that is how like every spoken word London used to finish, like that. Everyone like this weird sort of like sexual anticipation. Wow, yeah, that's awesome. So I'm gonna finish the night off with a poem. We kind of decided, like the book is, we started last night's event with his hate poem. And we're going to end with my anti-hate poem, although Pat's poem is also anti-hate. We were worried that he might get all hated out if he performed it twice. But yeah, I just want to centre this poem in the mood that it was written in, and also just gush slightly about spoken word London. Spoken word London changed my life, in fact. When I first started coming, I was in a really fucking dark place, and I wrote loads of really hateful stuff about this ex-fiancé who jilted me and broke my heart. And then around the time of the first anniversary, Pat was like, oh, will you feature at the anti-hate event? And I was like, yeah, oh my God, I'd love to. And I was like, have you heard my stuff? Like, I'm really hateful. So this poem was written, and it's really funny, we've had the video of the first anti-hate event looping in the corner, and I caught myself in the eye the other day, yesterday, giving away an engagement ring as part of my first performance of this poem. So I asked the audience to guess what language it was. It's Irish. There's no poems as rings as prizes, and then I gave this ring away. But I do just want to say before I start, actually, if you are in one of these pictures, you are entitled to take it away with you. So that may be your prize. Have a look. If there's a picture that you really love that you're not in, and you make a good case to me and Pat, we'll consider it. This poem is my anti-hate poem. It's an antidote to my own hatred, and it's written off the back of Pat asking me to feature at the first ever Spoken Word London Anti-Hate. And I want to dedicate it to Mikey, who inspired it. In Ireland, when we say thank you, we wish you 1,000 good things. We say Goramila Mohagat, wishing you all the benefit that good fortune well earned can bring. I wish you the courage to stand up and stand alone, to speak for those voices muted in ignorance or fear of violence, because bad things happen when good people do nothing, and exploitation is condoned in communal silence. I wish you at least a taste of your comeuppance, because sometimes the hard way is the only way to really learn. Hard-won lessons are those that sink most deeply in enabling foundations for the future to be firm. I wish you a good male role model in this world of toxic masculinity. Better friends, a fresh start, a sincere conception of your place on the scale of infinity, warm hands and a warm heart. I wish you determination, teamed with both resolve and ability, that you nurture and mature within a sense of your own vulnerability. May you constantly reflect, reevaluate your hate, turn it into a more gracious condition, be content, not complacent, as you strive to strike a balance between your ideals and your ambitions. I wish you success, but not necessarily in the way that you want, in a way where you progress without an ego to flaunt. Success to inspire you to work towards your aspirations, and the love and empathy to live through inevitable... Wow, I've just skipped that. Sorry. So, I wish you success, to inspire you to work towards your aspirations and the hope to plough on through famished devastation. Turning hope into hard work and hard work into achievement, armed with the love and empathy to live through inevitable bereavement. Solace to know that in time all wounds will heal. Do not create divisions between what you think and how you really feel, what you do and how you really feel. I do not wish you to victimise yourself, nor to relish in past pain. Allow yourself to feel guilt for your wrongs, but do not bathe in self-hating shame. Remember, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, but the one most receptive to change. Be sure to know yourself. Preserve and abide good health, and knowing your worth, harness your talents. Find a place where they are needed on this earth. Understand your history. Know where you've come from and feel grounded in your own identity. Unlike someone at the bottom of a well-researched family tree, I do not wish you to be crushed by the weight of hereditary memory, but stand at the apex. Be that bright branch that's branching out, able to stay hopeful in the absence of all you must go on without. But above all things, I wish you the attentiveness to be kind. To choose your words, mean what you say, use the potential of your mind, have the strength of character to allow yourself to be cautious, courteous, tasteful. Appreciation that always leaves you feeling generous, the wisdom not to be wasteful. And lastly, I wish you the foresight to interpret the world beyond the way that best serves you, and the good humour to diffuse anger with laughter. I wish you 947 bouts of laughter. That you laugh at yourselves, with yourselves, and at all the things you failed to say but only thought of after. In my family, when we say thank you, we wish you 1,000 good things. We say, Gorimila Mohogath, wishing you all the benefits that good fortune well earned can bring.
That is Hannah Gordon. It's been a lot of work putting together this festival, but Hannah has taken on the lion's share of the work. She has brought together everything about tonight, like the photos that we see. She worked with Iris to put together the photos that we've got around here, and the anthology, we worked together to put that together. Everything that, like the hat being out, the bell being out, the dissertation being out. She has done a lot. We've had sound installations, we've had video installations, and she's put so much work and so much effort into this. So please give another round of applause for Hannah.
But to everyone who's brought something to Spoken Word London, it's been an amazing 5 years and we really look forward to the next 5 years. Can you give yourselves a round of applause, please? Thank you. It's the end of the Anti-Hate Festival. Bye. Take a photo.